Hello, peoples. I remembered to do it on Sunday. Welcome to the church of, I don't know what we're the church of, really. The church of Ray Ray and her disciples. Giving comments. Hey, we have a viewer. Um, I should probably stop looking at Instagram. Blazer. Bald me, Blazer. That video was so fucking funny. If you haven't watched, I forget what I called that video. Look at that. I made a video the other day giving someone a nickname and call signs and giving my buddy his. It's 10 minutes. It's hilarious. At least it made me laugh making it. Maybe I don't have a good sense of humor. Oh. Hobbits don't have to be short. I guess I'm like an elf that lives in the ground. So I'm talking to someone and I said I was going to be a modern hobbit. He said, LOL, you're not short. You get the joke all out of sequence like Tarantino movies, but radio. Thought about just using this to tell grandpa stories because that would make an interesting church service. I'd have to think of some though. My favorite one is still we were loading bins in a truck, and the bins sat on the side of a property of PetSmart. And I said, Grandpa, these say the property of PetSmart on the side of them. He looked me square in the eye and said, I don't give a fuck if they say Big Willie's Fuck Barn on the side of them. They're ours now. Load the truck. That's one of my favorites. I think I've told that before, though. Oh, one of my other favorite stories of him. I wasn't alive for this, but I heard about it. He was working at Grand Lake on the resort that he owned, and he needed to go get car keys that he had dropped in the lake because he was drunk. So while still drunk, he put on a scuba mask and put a compressed air hose up under the mask and went scuba diving, not realizing, of course, that the mask would be blown off his face instantly the second he hit the air. And like he came up fucking like gasping for air or whatever, and like there was a very racially inappropriate joke made about some European people. There's a Polish joke made. I'm not gonna make that joke, but it's hilarious. I'm not gonna make that joke because I'm not sure what I can and can't get away with on YouTube anymore. Like fuck Instagram is like calling me, every other day now. Not calling me. They're sending little things saying, you should think about doing this when you comment. I think they're like getting ready to like kill my account probably. Wouldn't surprise me anyway. I think to some extent I get away with a lot because when they look at it, they're like confused. That's half of the point of me. Like I like being confusion and like incarnate, I guess. It's like the power. Confusion. That would be so awesome to be able to throw confusion at people. Imagine if that was your superpower. Like instead of flying, you could just cause the police to be confused. I don't know that that would be a superpower for a hero, really. Could be. Confusion. I'm enjoying doing Instagram again. I don't know what to talk about. Blazer is awesome, Elite Preacher. Best part of that is like I really had no fucking plan what I was gonna use as that nickname going into that. I just started talking and in less than 10 minutes stumbled upon that gym. Blade, laser, blazer. I love Dodgeball. That's such a great movie. Well, now it's just you and me, Elite Preacher. Oh, Anonymous is here too. Maybe my little indicator thing doesn't work. Oh, now we're back to two. I have an audience of two. And thus I say unto you dudes, try not to fornicate as much. I want to be like the worst pastor in the world. I think that's kind of what this is. It's like, there's churches for everyone, right? I'm the church for everyone else. Like, eventually, if we become bigger than the Catholics, I say we go steal all their shit and, like, kill those pedophiles. Because, like, here's my thing. They have, like, a vault at the Vatican that's, like, all of the answers to everything ever, basically, because it's all of the shit they hoarded when they conquered the fucking known world. And they don't share it with anyone. Seems suspect to you? I'd like to know what's in their little vault. I think that should be like tenant one of this church is like we are starting the I'm not going to use that word. We're starting the crusade against against the Catholic hoarding of history. Crusade against the Catholic, boy touching cult, whatever the fuck that is. I think that's a good crusade to have, and I think that would make like our church very like open to like the Grand Thumb audience and like the gun community in general, but like not the Nazi part of it. So we'd like be very clearly not Nazis because like you're being led or not really led so much as you listen to the ramblings of some crazy trans woman. This is my plan. It's like I'm not a Nazi and I'm getting really tired of everyone being called a Nazi to the point that there are real Nazis doing real Nazi shit that nobody cares about. It's insane. And by that, I don't mean like, skinheads or whatever. I mean like Antifa. Antifa is straight up the brown shirts. Like, if you look at their political positions, they're they are Nazis even. Like they don't get that, but like all of the shit that they want is all of the shit that Hitler wanted. Like they call people Nazis because they are Nazis. Like for whatever reason, their like go-to tactic anymore, it seems to be to me, is like, what are we about to do? Okay, let's accuse Donald Trump of it. Why? Well, because if we picked a new person, people would call bullshit. If we use Donald Trump, he's like the devil. He's done everything. Donald Trump is responsible for the seeds in blackberry jelly or jam, whichever you prefer. He is responsible for the rain that didn't fall or the rain that did fall. Humans have a tendency to start organizations with good intentions, or they or say they have good intentions, then become corrupt, or the CIA infiltrate the organization. Exactly. That's why I'm saying we have no organization. We just all like build smokehouses on an acre of land all across the fucking country and work dead end jobs and fucking listen to random people like me bitch about the government. What are they going to do to us? Gonna tax us more? Just don't make any more money. Live as cheap as possible on like 2 acres of land in Texas and fuck the government. This is the way. Like, I really hope that we could get like a movement going. I think that would be good. Like, I don't think we need an army. Like, obviously, if what these people want is for you to lead an army against them, that would be great. What they don't want you to do is to encourage them to be kings of their own making, live on their own land, on things they build with their own hands, to own a rifle, and to not let other people take their shit. They are presenting their way of living to the world. I think the most responsible thing we could do is to go and present our way of living to the world. And like, to me, that would be growing and shooting your own food, probably having some herding animals because that would be necessary to feed more than a couple people, and having a big enough area of land to support the community that is within, and having like a big ass fucking like smoke room hangout thing with a medical bay and like a gathering meeting room, and then a bunch of cabins, and like have everything be within a mile of each other or something like that. Like, we could build a community that is like a model for the globe or whatever. And like, you don't even have to buy all the interconnecting land. You just need a couple of houses that are within distance where we can run telephone lines. Because what I would propose to do is, in these cabins that are interconnected in our communities, we get field telephones that you can run off a crank, and we run our own telephone lines. It's not that hard to do. We could probably even get permission to do it, especially if we paid the phone company to run the line. We just want a private line. This could be easily done. It costs money, but a private phone system that was, doomsday proof, that was old school telephones, would be dope. And like, you would need to know that like they're gonna listen to that, right? They're gonna listen to everything. But that's okay because we aren't gonna do anything. this is this is the great plan. Is I We should just sit there and let their whole world crumble around them while we build our little hunting community, and we'll build a really big fence. I agree, Elite Preacher. The IRS is going to become a much bigger dog, and it's going to become an issue for all of us. Anyone that doesn't want to be a Democrat, or chop your balls off and be a girl, like those, I think that would be an appeasing option to them. Like, for most of you, like, that's half of why they're pushing the transgender movement. They hope more of you fucking are, I think. And that's where people like, get confused. Because there are like 100% real transgender bitches, and then there's like fake ones, and then there's like everything in between. Like, I was reading a comment earlier that was saying that like a lot of the predators that are in the trans community, they aren't really trans. They're, I don't know what. It's sad. And the IRS, like, they could hunt us down one by one if they wanted to. This is why it'd be really cool to like have, at least 40 to 80 acres of our own land with a central building and then just a bunch of cabins. And like have some of it that is cabins and have some of it that is woods and have some of it that is garden and and like as far as like the garden goes, everybody could just have their own little plot of garden and work their own shit. But we could have a big communal crop of some sort too. Maybe do both. And as far as food goes, my thought is like sheep are cheap. They multiply quickly. They're good to eat. They provide wool that you can make into a shitload of useful stuff. I think sheep are a bonus. I think cows, if you can afford them and have them, they're a bonus. Chickens, bonus. And then on top of that, if you're on 80 acres, high fence 40 of it as a game preserve. Have a bunch of shit in there that, you can just go hunt. Like you may have to like maintain those populations or whatever. And 40 acres is not big enough to where like you could not take care of those animals. You'd need like probably 4 or 5 sections of land. So that's like, I don't know, 1,200 acres or something like that to get to the point where I would be comfortable just having a herd of deer loose that I could hunt. Truth and grace and the tools of old that never stop working, the favor of the righteous. Old technology has a very critical place in off-grid living. I agree. Like when I got rid of my blacksmithing tools, I got rid of all of the shit that was too big for me to do what I do really, and was using a power source that I wasn't going to have, and yada yada. I kept all the stuff that was like the anvil that I like, the hammers that I like, the forge that I like. See, I don't know about goats. I don't know about sheep parasite issues either. But like I agree. I think some of these things that just never wear out, those are good to have around, as along with finding the new version of that shit. Like that DeWalt electric chainsaw that I want to buy. That thing, I don't know what small parts it needs, but if we could even make our own battery powered chainsaw that was made to never fucking fail, that might be the better way to go. But something like that where you have, at least most of the capabilities of a full chainsaw in something that you can charge off of a solar bank and not need gas for. That's one of those like 21st century old timey tools. I'm looking for the shit that like Jeremiah Johnson would have been pulling out of our today's technology. And that's why like the laptop I'm talking to you on, my old laptop that my new laptop actually that I smashed into a million pieces and microwaved and buried in the backyard. Um, I hated that fucker. I hated it because everything was updating and Windows and this, and it was connected into all of this shit. The computer I'm on now is a fucking MacBook Pro from 2013 that has risen from the grave for another ride. I'm gonna take it and get it fucking restored. Like this computer is built to last forever if you take care of it. And that's everything else that I fucking have. I'm not gonna worry about upgrading computers past this if I can avoid it. And like my guess is that I can pay some nerd to make this computer keep working forever. So that's probably pretty accurate. Maybe that's wrong. Like maybe Macs are not the way to go. But the fucking Windows laptop that I bought was like the biggest piece of shit on earth. It pissed me off to the point where it got sacrificed in the backyard to the mighty god Ra or whatever. I don't fucking know. Maybe that's why we need goats, Anonymous. Because the aliens are coming back, and they're gonna expect some sort of sacrifice. We'll need goats. Some people hear me talk about the mighty god Ra, and they don't get that in my mind. Stargate is basically real. Like, maybe there's a few things that have been changed for television or whatever. They like purposefully misled shit, but like the general gist of Stargate, the TV show, I swear to God, is like, in case any of this ever gets out, we can just point at the TV show and be like, well, that's this. And like, it's not like there is a literal Stargate. It's the idea that we found shit on an archaeological dig in the 20s or 30s that changed technology forever and no one talks about it. I don't know what that is, but it has something to do with something in Antarctica, which if you if you want to know like why I look at the conspiracy stuff that I look at, that's the lens through which I look at most of it through. Is like this to some extent is not the truth, but is a version of what is happening ish. Like that's why like there's a big thing about aliens that look exactly like we do. I think that's real. I think that's what some of like their terror hunting shit is all about. Is like there are literally extraterrestrials living amongst us or something like that that look just like us. And some of them are human and some of them are like I don't know what. Like maybe like the dude in Men in Black that had the little dude in his head working the controls. The fuck if I know. That's kind of where like I start as a baseline for most of this cuz like I've seen enough shit in my life where I'm like, okay, so aliens are real. God is real. What else is I like Skinwalker go watch the Skinwalker Ranch show and get back to me if you don't believe about any of this shit. My thing with the Skinwalker Ranch show is that they are basically sitting there doing scientific experiments trying to prove whether or not some of these old stories about that place are true. And while they're doing it, they're running electricity through 40 feet of dirt and lighting light bulbs. That's not normal. So I don't know exactly what goes on at Skinwalker Ranch, but something more than what goes on here, like in this realm or whatever. Like it's a crossroads of some sort or something. Like there's an open door there to somewhere else. It's my thought. It seems to be like that's not the only one of those. Like there's a bunch of shit in the Middle East and in Asia that looks just like that. And I kind of wonder if Atlantis, quote unquote, never really ended. They just live in sky cities cloaked above China now. And like the other thing is the Skinwalker part of Skinwalker Ranch, like in Indian legend, those are shapeshifters. Like some of those stories, you or me talking, either one of us could be one, and like the world around wouldn't know. They're like it's to that they're like a mimic. Like maybe that's what the thing is that like they have the ability to look like us when they want to. But like the thing at Skinwalker Ranch, I swear those skinwalkers don't even exist. It's a piece of technology projecting them into your mind as like a horrific thing, trying to scare you away from something. Like the wolf thing that they dealt with there, that they shot a billion times and it didn't die. I don't think there was a wolf there. I really don't. I don't think that was Skinwalker either. I think that was like at best there might have been some sort of robot that was like a ball at the center of that wolf that dude missed every shot because in his mind he saw the ball as a giant wolf, because this has like some sort of ability to fuck with what you see. And the reason I say that is on that show, they have iPhones and shit on the show, and they get their iPhone hacked in 3 seconds. And the US government couldn't do that in forever. So your brain is like a computer. The way that it can just send a signal and hack that iPhone, it can send a signal and hack you. That's what it's doing with a lot of that shit. And I don't know from where it comes, but there's some source of that on that ranch. And it's not from this planet. I would guarantee you that. I still like sheep. I want wool. I don't know that goats taste good. I know that sheep taste good. Like the other thing is, the place to do this, if you really want to get serious about this, we should go buy land in the fucking like high desert with like the Navajo and shit, and like they'll be okay. I don't know exactly what protects those people there, but it lives at Skinwalker Ranch. Maybe that's just me. I think like there's a lot more going on right now than most people would admit. And like some of it is just we're being lied to and misinformation, and they're even telling big lies to like cover up strange shit. I think, I don't know. I've heard some stories from the Afghanistan withdrawal that make me question, like, everything from our troops were retreating from alien soldiers to Taliban were using helicopters that were being covered by UFOs. I kind of believe some of those stories. Like, what if the gods are back and they're pissed? Be an interesting fucking science fiction movie. Like, here's my thing is like, what if the gods aren't the bad guys? What if, there were some that were or whatever, but they're dead now. And the ones that are coming back now are the good ones, and they're here to like, I don't know, trade technology and leave or something. Like, who knows why they're fucking coming? I just tend to think that creepy ass shape shifting aliens probably a bad thing. And I think that there's going to be an alien attack on this planet sometime in the 2050s or 2060s. And I can't really fully explain why I believe that. That would make sense to anyone. But when I was delirious and in a heightened state, the year 2053 was the thing that like kept ringing in my mind. I don't know why. The Highlander 2 review. I need to watch it again. Like, I have not watched that movie as much as I watched Highlander 1. It's like Highlander 1, I think most people like watched on repeat, right? Highlander 2, most people watched once and threw the VHS away. Maybe twice. It has Sean Connery in it. But like, especially now in 4K, it is difficult to watch that movie, and I don't think I own a copy of it. So I don't know. I have to find it streaming somewhere. What was the movie I watched? Oh, Predator 2. I forgot how much I liked Predator 2. Like, it's not my favorite Predator movie because Predator's my favorite Predator movie, and like Prey is pretty damn good. And now I'm like trying to decide, is Prey better than Predator 2? And I know like for a lot of people that is an easy thing because Predator 2 is like that movie they hated that didn't have Arnold Schwarzenegger. I always thought Predator 2 was as cool as Predator 1. Just Predator 1 was better because it was like special forces and Arnold Schwarzenegger and whatever. And like the only thing they didn't do right was they should have done a Predator 3 that was like another person, and I would have picked like Samuel L. Jackson or something like that, or like an 80s action star, Sylvester Stallone. Like you could name any of the who's who of Hollywood, and that should have been what they did with this series. Was every new one you get a new action star, and you fucking have him fight the Predator, and maybe the Predator wins, and maybe he wins or whatever. Like that would be a cool fucking way to go. I thought with that series. Nah, let's let's just ignore the Predator for like 30 years, and then let's every time we try to reboot it, make it worse. Until Prey. Prey is legitimately good, but it is like it is my pitch of a Predator movie. I think I might have even pitched that Predator movie before. I definitely pitched 1700's Predator to explain the flintlock, which that is. That's half of what I like to do on this, whatever this is if I'm talking about movies in some way, it's either talking about a movie I've seen or it's trying to sell you on a movie that I want to make that is beyond ridiculous usually. Like that I can't believe they actually made one. I think they even went further than my making it ridiculous by calling it Prey and having it be a chick. Like thinking about it now, that is the 2022 version of my movie pitch. It's been many years since I've fucking thought about Predator, really, though. At least about making Predator movies. What I always wanted to do was like, the black smoke monster in Lost? I wanted to combine that and like a tiger and like flashes of like claws and teeth or whatever and use that as like the monster in a Vietnam War movie. Like it's some sort of jungle demon that takes the form of a fucking tiger and hunts a platoon in Vietnam. I think that would be fucking sick. And like that is basically kind of like a take on the Predator, and that's why I didn't really think about doing that much more. But the reason I focused so much on that one in particular is if you could get a tiger and like a smoke generator and 30 guys in Vietnam equipment and put them in the bush in parts of Missouri, parts of Arkansas, some of like that really like maybe Louisiana, even some of that swampy fucking ish shit. You could make that movie so fucking cheap. It would be awesome to just have a new Predator movie come out every couple of years that is like, whoever the next action star is. Like, don't make it like the next up and coming. Make it like this dude has been around for a while and is now the you know, like I was saying, Sylvester Stallone would have been a no-brainer in the 90s. Um, fucking Die Hard. What's his name? Bruce Willis would have been an interesting choice for a cop movie. Like, do it in New York and make it fucking Bruce Willis as an NYPD detective and just change his name. So it's Predator versus Die Hard. Like, this is the thing that you could get away with by using the actors and like changing the character names. Is it would be the Predator fighting all of these things. I love the stories of weird shit in the woods that could be true. So cryptid stories definitely fall into that elite creature. Danny Glover's gun was sick. Well, which one? Like that's the thing I loved about Danny Glover is like he is like a modern gunslinging cop on the streets of LA or whatever. Like he doesn't have one gun. He has like 9 in the trunk of his car because he doesn't know which one he's gonna need. Like that's dope. And that was the thing I loved about the movie is like the Predator, like I guess chose him as his trophy or whatever because he was the one that kept like killing all the shit that he was killing. I don't. I think it's badass. That and like I like the people that take the view of Predator 2. It's like Predator was just there cleaning up the town, doing Predator stuff, killing drug lords, slaying pimps, saving pregnant women on trains. Does anyone thank Predator? No. Everyone's just like, stop ripping out people's skulls. I think this is why, like, to me, the Predator is my superhero in some ways. He's unstoppable. Like, unless you're Arnold Schwarzenegger or whatever, but like as far as like in Predator 2, I saw him as the hero of that movie. Other than maybe the cops, like what's his name? Oh, Bill Paxton's character in Predator 2 is great. And there's like the pregnant chick and his buddy that gets killed like right at the start of the whole thing. I always thought would have been better played by Joey Pants. I forget what his real name is, but he's the guy in what is the name of that movie? Congo is on the runway and is like, "Ooh, a talking gorilla. You can feel the money hairs on the back of my neck going woo woo woo." Like that guy played a role in U.S. Marshals later on, and The Fugitive that was very similar to this sidekick buddy cop role of uh, Danny Glover's buddy, but he does so much better of a job of it than the guy that they got in this movie. That's why I wish they would have got him. There's a couple other changes like that that like Predator 2 has some fucking flaws. It has some shit that you have to like just pretend isn't there, I guess. And that's some of that. But it's not as bad as that really. Like it's not Highlander 2. Its effects are good. It's, the Predator looks good. The only real bitch about that movie is that it didn't have Arnold Schwarzenegger and it killed the franchise because it didn't. But in reality, for like the here and now, that is the franchise. Like make it the James Bond, you know? Everybody likes seeing the Predator fight shit. You could even just do AVP again and do it better and not do AVP Requiem as the sequel. I never understood Fox. Like, okay, we got a hit. How are we going to fund its sequel? Well, sequels never make any money, so we're not going to give it any money. That's a good way to never have sequels make any money. I'm not saying like a movie has to cost a million zillion dollars, but like if I made that movie about the smoke tiger hunting a platoon in Vietnam, I would need a hell of a lot more money to make the sequel because I would have used up the entire bag of tricks for the budget version of that on the budget version of that. And that's the thing they don't get at all is they get someone like me that goes in there on a shoestring budget and just shoots some art piece, and then on the next movie they they expect them to do it for considerably less than they would any other movie being made. And in reality, now that it's a Hollywood production and has all of this associated bullshit with it, it costs the same as anything else. It's full production on a fucking movie. It costs a lot of money. Okay, the reason that they were making money off of shit like Predator was like up and coming directors that were willing to go out and suffer in the jungle and shit with, you know, dudes and fucking make something really cool that was really going to make money. I think half of what's wrong with Hollywood now is that no one is willing to go out there and like be in the dirt and suffer and get the fucking film. If you can get them the film, they can make you all sorts of shit. You know, they could make me look like fucking Wonder Woman and kicking ass probably. Like look at fucking what's it called? Mandalorian. They're making that thing when basically none of it's there. I don't really enjoy watching shit like that though. I agree, Elite Preacher, greed ruins art. And like this is the thing that they don't understand is that when you let's get when you rush art and worry about the cost too much because you have to because of the giant overarching business that you have to support, you make worse shit. All of the things that make things great are these like on the fly accidents. My favorite part about the paint job on my car is the swipe of paint that I accidentally got on the tail light that looks like a Grim Reaper. Couldn't do it again if I tried. It's just badass. You don't get that if you don't rattle can the fucking car. Okay? Like, you don't get the good that comes out of the bad. You just get nothing. And you get like mediocre crap. That's kind of how I see our current movie stream is like we have mediocre crap being blended with propaganda now. No, like no shit on that one. That's kind of most of my issue with doing like a show about modern movies or whatever. And the reason I don't want to do a nerd show or even be on other people's nerd shows is it's gotten to the point where I do not watch modern movies unless I particularly see one that catches my fancy. Prey was out for a good 2 or 3 weeks before I watched that shit. And it is, like I said, a movie that I would pitch. They had, run me off from that franchise that hard. It took friends of mine watching it and telling me it was good and that I would like it. And I'm like, I'm hesitant about that shit because people said that shit about, Star Wars shit too, or whatever, name it. And like in the last, like the Disney era of Star Wars, most of it is not good. Mandalorian is good. Star Wars Rebels was good. Pretty much, if it has Dave Filoni attached to it and John Favreau, I'll watch it. If it's not, I don't care because it's made by fucking people that don't get it and are propagandists. Like Kathleen Kennedy, for whatever reason, is out to destroy the myth, our myth, the culture myth of America. I think it's one of those that she doesn't think that it really is a thing and she wants to like tear it down to make it better kind of a thing. But in reality, like these stories have been told for ages. The culture myth is like the Iliad and the Odyssey in ancient Greece, the Aeneid in Rome. Our version of that right now is Star Wars, believe it or not. Star Wars and cowboy movies. Pick one. Everybody who's like defending your country right now likes one of those two things, which to some extent means it's your culture myth. So they are attacking the shit that drives the fighting force. People don't see it as that, but it's you need to raise boys from a young age in this kind of a thing. If you want to have the Marine Corps, if you want to have, the special forces, you need that shit. And they are attacking it point blank. And that's kind of why I think they're doing what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They're destroying our country. I think they really want China to take us over. Like they know that they'll be the elite class of whatever puppet state gets put in here. They don't want the Constitution for whatever reason. And like, I really hope that everybody in Texas feels like me in that if they're going to be a puppet state for China, we should secede. And like, I know that's a bold fucking statement or whatever, but like that's where this shit's going. Like, I was watching the news today and it occurred to me that they are where I was 2 years ago. So they better buckle in because they got a rough ride. I'm not crazy. I'm just, I guess, ahead of the curve because of the way I choose to live my life for most people. Like, I like not knowing what I'm going to do tomorrow. I like having to fucking go out and chase food, basically. Like, I try not to keep a bunch of shit in the house other than my preps or whatever. So if I want, like, something other than like a turkey sandwich or dry goods, I have to go somewhere and fucking get it and do it and whatever. And I like that. And I don't know how to keep that up as this shit starts to get worse. It's like the gasoline when it went to $4 fucking hurt. It's like 3.50 now, and that's still pretty bad. But I like to go places. It's just me. It seems like the people that like are in charge of this shit want you and me to not own cars and to take buses and bicycles everywhere. And that shit just isn't going to happen. If you want to figure out a way to actually power fucking cars that doesn't affect the climate, that's cool with me. But like all the shit that they're doing is not that. It's all about taxing your very existence. It's all about control over you. That's all they want. What I'm saying is they've made it to the point where you should be leaving. Like the juice is no longer worth the squeeze. Those people are about to either be Chinese puppets or dead. We should go build our own thing. And all we need is land somewhere where that government doesn't fuck with us. I think that's Texas. Maybe I'm wrong. There's some other states it could be too. Florida is crazy good. I like Oklahoma because it's where I am. And Missouri wouldn't be bad. Arkansas wouldn't be bad. But like some of those, who knows where those states go politically? Texas, I don't care how many more Californians they move there. Most of those Californians that moved there to live in Texas. And if it starts to look like it's not going to be Texas anymore, I'm sure a lot of the other people that want Texas to still be Texas will probably move to Texas and start voting. Like, they can't have that one. If anything, I think it should break away. It's the only one that really can. Like I said, I think Oklahoma could probably break away too, but it would just be because we're like stubborn bastards that live without electricity. It's not exactly a good option. I once lived in Oklahoma for a month and a half without electricity in winter. We had an ice storm. It knocked out everything, and no one had any power for weeks and weeks and weeks. And like no one died. That's kind of where I'm at with like Oklahoma at least is like I think we'll be one of the places that everybody's like running to. The Texas and Oklahoma and Florida and like all of these really, really red states. Although Texas isn't really, really red according to everyone anymore. Florida is impressing the hell out of me. I hope Ron DeSantis goes to war against Disney even more than he already is. If if I were them, I would start running them out of the state. Because if you run them out of the state, they're gonna sell that shit, and whoever they sell it to won't be them, and then they can run it. Because you're Florida and you own the land, and like they can do that. I don't know. Maybe that's crazy, but like, I think Disney needs to learn a fucking lesson. Like, I think they really are fucking with people's kids now. Like, have you watched any of the children's programming that people watch now? It's ridiculous. And like the YouTube children's stuff is even worse. I honestly think they're like turning our children's brains to mush. It's like you think that the millennials are bad. Wait until you see their kids. It's not you, Marty. It's your kids. Back to the Future. Shit. What if Back to the Future is somewhat based on reality, and that's the only way to save the planet now is for us to go back in time and like I don't know. I don't know what we'd have to do, but like it's like we created a generation of pussies or whatever, and we're all doomed. The only solution is Doc Brown. I really wonder what's going to become of the world now that it the United States is not a superpower anymore. Basically, that's the gist of my whole channel. Is we've been downgraded on a world scale, and no one seems to care really. I guess like there's Republicans bitching on Fox or whatever, but like no one's doing anything about it. And some of the shit that's going on, like there should be states calling for a continental congress or something like that. We're being run by criminals off a cliff. I I wonder if Trump even legitimately won when he did win. I wonder if it's that they manipulated it so Trump could win, then they manipulated it so Trump could lose because they need this series of events to unfold because they need to destroy America. Like I honestly, what else could be their plan or motivation at this point in the game? I I watch the news every day and I'm like, show me something that's not trying to destroy America. And you have the Democrats just flat out crazy. And then the Republicans are going from being Democrats with an R behind their name to being me on some level. Like there's a couple of people in power that echo my statements on occasion. I like them. Like was it Ted Cruz and Rand Paul and shit like that? Like I like what they say. So maybe they're okay. But what does it say? Like 1% of Congress is savable. Like everybody else is voting to kill the Constitution. I the part that I love the most is that we fall into different camps as constitutionalists, whether we are strict or loose in our interpretation of the Constitution. And like in reality, interpreting the Constitution loosely just means finding pretty big holes in it and then like sticking your dick in it until they're big enough to walk through. That's what Nancy Pelosi does every day. I'm trying to send locusts at her now with my wizard powers, you know, because I'm now the like wizard priest of y'all. Woo loo woo loo. Like that's to the level of I don't know insanity that I would like to have in this show, just so it's very clear that like it's a joke, and you know you all should build cabins. Whatever you do is on your own. Like I would really like a group of people that just listened to my show and went and like bought 2 acres and started building a cabin. I think that would be dope. Because like once you realize that like if you have a garage full of tools powered by a solar array, you can just do whatever you want. It's pretty dope. And like satellite internet's getting better. Like there's a lot of things that make this more viable. And like I'm not saying you have to like be a total off-grid hermit or whatever. Like as long as Amazon Prime still works, I'm still going to want to get fucking packages and like stream shit. I was pretty pissed at Amazon the other day until I realized that it was a hacker fucking with me. Like it was one of those bots or whatever. I had a Amazon payment bounce because it wasn't enough money in the account, and I was like, "What?" I got a text message saying that my Amazon account was going to be suspended if I didn't do this stuff, and then I clicked it and went through the stuff, seeing what it said to do, and it was like, "Please fill out your entire social security number here. This is the only way to verify Amazon." I'm like, "Yeah, that one might be fake." not I'm not the world's greatest detective. I'm the world's shittiest detective. In fairness, I had just had that payment bounce and then got a text message that looked pretty legit from Amazon. They're good. They're really good. That's what I'm saying, boys. When I was a kid, my thought about Danny Glover and Predator 2 was that is the oddest casting choice on earth. Why on earth would you go with Danny Glover? But like in reality, it kind of makes sense in a way because he's like Riggs and Murtaugh, right? Like of that era, playing a cop. To me, it made sense. Maybe I'm the only one. That's why I thought like the Predator 3, they should have gotten somebody like Bruce Willis. That would have been hilarious. Predator 3, Predator New York. Like have it be like a hunt in Central Park. Oh, that'd be good. I don't know where else. You could do a lot of cool stuff in New York. Escape from New York. It's a good movie. Elite Preacher. I bet you like Escape from New York. I got Escape from LA the other day, and I really do like that movie. It is not as good as Escape from New York, but it is a really good movie. I need a copy of Escape from New York on DVD now. I'm building my DVD archive for like Doomsday. My uncle gave me a big bag of DVDs the other night for my birthday. My birthday was like months ago, but you know, we've been busy. Well, this is about an hour of this. Should I keep going or should I end it here? Let the voices of the people decide. It would be hilarious to have like trans women be the priest class of this new religion. And you're like, how do you know the priests aren't pedophiles? Because all they want is dick from men. I guess you'd have to find that slice of trans women because there's like the weirdos that hide with us. That's sad. It's still sad to me that there's people that are so predatory that they fucking do that shit. Oh, I'm just saying the Catholics put a pedophile in a big hat. We can do whatever we want. And on that note, I think I'll end this here. I'll see you guys later.